Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Goo Ana. So let's go Ana. In this episode we're going to talk about how to practice your listening skill. So I'll be using English all of this episode in this video. Anyway, so let's get started with why we should start learning English by listening. So listening skill is one of the skills that I think that is the most important when it comes to learning English. Because if you can listen to what people say, you will get a lot of information, and of course, you will get the rhythm of how they talk, how they actually speak in the real life, not just like in the textbooks, So that's why it's really important to learn how to listen. Actually, listening is just really, really easy, but why we have to learn it? Because the way to learn to pick up the language and the way to learn just enjoy the music or maybe enjoy the movie is different. So if your target is to learn it because you want to be able to speak English, you have to have some kind of some intention of how to learn it. So in this video, I'll be sharing you guys about my tips and tricks. How did I practice my listening skills? If you're ready, let's get started. So the first website that I would like to recommend you guys is the website that I used to practice English when I was 14 years old. So like I mentioned before, that 14 years old was the year that I started learning English. And that time I couldn't find anything to learn, like where should I find some material to help me practice my listening? And I found out about this channel. So this is actually the website from BBC Learning English, and the title of the podcast that I listened to when I was so young was 6 Minutes English from bbclearningenglish.com. So you just go to Google and then type it just like this. As you guys can see it here, you will see that the screen, they will show you about the topic that they already talk and the thing that they decide to have, like the previous episodes that they already run on this channel. So you guys can check it out like this, and you see it right here. There's so many topics that if you have any specific you want to practice or you want to listen, you guys can also check it out. So the first thing we're gonna pick on why do we choose to text instead of talk. Here on this one, so let's click in and we'll see. Okay, here we go. So this is what it looks like. If you're a Thai, you can read it in Thai, right? Because I just choose the language in Thai, so it's not in English. Anyway, so this is how it looks like. They will have some descriptions, down here for you to follow along with if you want to listen and read along, dialogues they have. Like this, they will have some questions for you. They will provide you with the vocabulary that you need to do, and they will have the transcript for you to read. So in this podcast, there are two people talking, which are Neil and Georgiana. Yeah, I haven't heard Georgiana before, but I used to listen to Neil. But I think he's been there more than just 6 years, I guess. So yeah, that's how it looks like. And on the right corner of this, you can see that you can download the transcript in PDF file. That means you can just pick up and watch it or write anything in there if you want to. So the transcript will be the same as the one that you've seen on the website page. And then you also can go and check out about their podcast for 6 Minutes English, and it will go straight into their own website, like the main website from BBC Learning English, and you guys can just go and click it out and then download the podcast. So there are two sizes of the podcast, which I think you can just choose whatever you want, but the quality of the voice will be pretty good at the same thing. So yeah, let's try to click one. So this is the latest episode that they just ran out, which can jellyfish help us solve our problems. So yeah, actually that's quite interesting. I also don't know how can they help us solve our problems. Yeah, so this is kind of how it looks like. And if you want to download the podcast that I mentioned before, you can just click listen or download as I showed it here. So yeah, that is it. So that is it of how you can just pick up the language from the podcast and how did I practice my listening skills. So the skill that I practice also have some steps about how did I actually practice about it, but this is just the first thing that I would like to recommend you guys to start listening. Okay, so yeah, from this channel that I would like to recommend you guys because it's my favorite one and it helped me a lot through the way that I was learning English until right now. I still listen to it like then and there, like not so often like in the past, but in the past the first few years I listened to this almost every single day and it helped me a lot. So if you're beginners and you want to practice your listening skills, try it, do it. Alright, and I'm going to share with you guys again about how did I actually practice when I got to listen to the podcast. How many steps do I have to take to finish one podcast? Well, we'll talk about it in a little. Okay, so first of all, let's go and hear a little bit about the podcast.
Six-minute English
from bbclearningenglish.com.
Hello, this is 6-Minute English from BBC Learning English. I'm Neil.
And I'm Georgina.
Can I ask you something, Georgina? Georgina, I said I want to ask you something. Are you listening to me?
Just a second, Neil. I'm texting a friend.
Has this ever happened to you? Someone too busy texting to talk? With the huge rise of mobile phones in recent decades, communicating by text has become more and more popular and scenes like this have become increasingly common.
And send. There, all done. Now what were you saying, Neil?
In this programme we'll be investigating why people often choose to text instead of talk to the people in their lives. We'll be asking whether this popular form of communication is changing how we interact with each other.
And of course we'll be learning some related vocabulary as well.
So that's how it is that I use the podcast to practice my English. As you can see that you will hear the voice and all the things that we need to do is just listen to that podcast. So follow along with the steps. I will have some tips and tricks about how did I actually perform, like how many times do I have to listen to the same podcast, how did I read my vocabulary, so when will I actually kind of understand the podcast, because the first thing is just like, what the language is this? I don't understand a little bit about it. So yeah, that happened to me as well. So don't worry about that. I'll share you the tips and tricks in the next video. So make sure that you follow along, subscribe, and hit the like button. Thank you so much, and I'm going to see you guys again next time. Bye!